The question arises about what we really have to plan for. Yes, we have to plan for our financial goals, but what are financial goals? How do we identify them, set them, manage them, achieve them? It's a big laundry list. So let's take the help of our expert in this. Now, I would like to introduce to you all our second speaker of the day, Mr. Sanjeev Tawar. Mr. Sanjeev is an MBA and a postgraduate in commerce. He has over 3 decades of corporate experience in the field of finance, budgeting, etc., plus over 3 years experience in personal finance, investment planning, etc. Over to you, sir.
Hi, good morning again. It's a privilege to be part of Nishka Era and joining them right from their first webinar on financial literacy. It's a great initiative informing the investor community before they arrive at a decision. So let us move on. Next slide, please. So you will see that personal is very typical when we talk of personal finance. The financial needs of every individual will be entirely different. So to understand the financial needs of a homemaker or a teacher would be entirely different compared to the financial needs of a young professional or a retiree. So even for an individual at different life stages, the financial needs would vary. So let us be very particular in this, that no single plan will fit into requirements of all the individuals. To take a simple example, someone may like dosa or idli in breakfast, and another person may like sandwich. So it is to keep it that simple. Next, please. So we all have financial goals during our financial journey, be it higher education for self or for our children, to buying a car, getting marriage for our children, or planning for our retirement. So everyone has will have one of these goals during their financial journey. Now, we must understand that having a goal is one part of the process, but a smarter process is to have a value attached to each of these goals. For example, buying a car can be one of my financial goals, but when I say I want to buy a car in the next 3 years and also tag a value to it, say 10 lakhs, 8 to 10 lakhs, then it brings meaning to the financial goal. Similarly, it should be done for each of our financial goal or milestone which we wish to achieve. Have a value, have a timeline attached to it. Next, please. So this holds good to everyone and especially to the young earners, the millennials, the new investors. So my strong advice is they should start investing right from their first salary check. As Rushika ma'am also shared just now, there is a magic in compounding. It's known to be the eighth wonder of the world. So we should leverage the value, the power of compounding by starting early. So as I shared in the previous slide, we should draw a plan, list down our financial goals, attach a value and timeline to it. So this completes our phase one typically. In the next phase, when we start earning, we should first invest, then think of spending. So this the second phase is equally important, because in this phase we try to earn and allow our money to accumulate and simultaneously grow. So once phase 2 is over, when we retire, the assets which we have created over our financial journey will help us give us steady income to support our retirement years. Next, please. When we talk of financial goals, it is not making one or two investments in FD, stocks, or mutual funds. We have to see it in a very comprehensive manner. For example, it's a non-discretionary element of financial planning to have an emergency fund, be it for sudden travel or a medical emergency. Equally important is to mitigate the risk of the earning member of the family. So we have very easy to access multiple options to mitigate this risk, namely insurance. So before we start investing, it is very, very important and mandatory, non-discretionary to have an insurance in place. So once we have emergency fund in place, insurance in place, we should think of short-term goals, which we aspire to reach in the next, say, 3 to 5 years, and long-term goals, which can be typically 5 years and beyond. Next, please. So when we talk of, once we have defined our financial goals, we have tagged a value and timelines to it. So we have to ensure that all our investments should not be kept at one place. All our investments cannot be in bank FD. At the same time, the entire investment cannot be in real estate due to the liquidity challenge which it throws. So again, sharing it with an example, we don't eat bread for all meals of our day, every day. So it will be a big threat to our system. It will not be getting the kind of nourishment our body needs. And in the same way, all investments cannot be in a single asset class because they do not have a correlation. We saw recently that during COVID, the stocks and real estate were falling down, the prices were falling down, whereas the gold was appreciating. So we must have a portfolio which comprises of different asset class to give us a balanced and sustainable financial strength. Next, please. So let us understand with a small example. When we start our financial journey, we aim to create wealth. So here I try to explain with an example that we want to accumulate 1 crore when we retire at the age of 60. So emphasizing the point of starting early again. So when we start early, we leverage the power of compounding. So if one starts at the age of 30, he'll be investing for the next 30 years to reach the age of 60. So he has to typically invest less than 5,000 rupees a month for the next 30 years, and that will take him to a corpus of 1 crore. Now, if the investment is delayed and the same individual starts at the age of 40, so he'll obviously have to put in more money, which is roughly 3 times what he was supposed to do at the age of 30. So delaying by 10 years, his investment each month has gone up by 3 times to reach the same corpus of 1 crore at the age of 60. Now, we see that if the same process is started at the age of 50 instead of 30, so the amount to be invested each month has gone up by 10 times. And the corpus obviously remains the same, which is 1 crore at the age of 60. So we must ensure that we start early. Even if it is with a smaller amount, we always have the option to top up our investments by increasing our SIPs if it is mutual fund, also by investing through top-ups. So let us not think that once we have substantial amount, we'll start investing. We should start at an early age and maintain that discipline to grow the corpus we need. Next, please. So I just explained that we should not wait for a substantial amount of money to start our investment journey. Here I have sharing an example of a very small amount of 3,000 rupees a month, which is 100 a day. Now, this doesn't get you even one meal a day. This is such a small amount. So investing 3,000 a month, and if you maintain this for the next 30 years, and I assume a compounded annual return of 12%. So this takes you to nearly 1 crore corpus. Here you see the amount which you have invested is slightly above 10%. The remaining 90% is what has been generated over the next 30 odd years. So emphasizing again, start early and maintain the discipline. Next, please. So I'm sure in the chat box you have shared whatever thoughts, questions you have. We'll take them one by one. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The session was very insightful and we all have learned a lot of tips we can use. So now I see we have a curious audience and I have many questions for our speakers. Now we will move on to our next segment, the Q&As. We have received a few questions from participants during the registrations. I will take those questions first. Meanwhile, kindly write your questions along with the name of the speaker to whom you want to ask in the chat box. So beginning with the Q&A session, the first question is from Ms. Saloni. She wants to know about various investment avenues and ways to save money from them. Sanjeev sir, if you would like to answer this question.
I'm sorry, can you kindly repeat? Extremely sorry.
She wants to know about various investment avenues and ways to save money for them.
Right. It all depends what are your financial goals, and as I shared earlier, what are the timelines available. For example, if your goal is say 1 to 2 years from now, which can be termed as short term, so you can opt for bank FD, or maybe for better returns, you can opt for liquid category of mutual funds. At the same time, if the goals are for a longer duration, you can definitely opt for stocks. And here my strong advice would be not to enter into stock market without professional guidance. You can also opt for equity mutual funds that gives you a diversified portfolio. So your risk typically spreads over multiple sectors and multiple companies. And if you are still left with a substantial surplus, you can obviously think of real estate as a investment option. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure the question must have helped Ms. Saloni. The next question is from Mr. Jaydeep. He wants to know how to invest profitably in stocks? Rushika ma'am, if you would like to answer to this question, please.
Yeah. So basically, before you start investing in stocks, the one thing that you need to understand and realize is whenever you're buying a stock or a share of a company, you're in effect buying part ownership of that company. So you're like a part shareholder of that company. Okay. So in the stock market, you can either invest on your own or with the help of an expert. Okay, that's little more risky because if you don't have knowledge, your portfolio may not grow as per what you require. Or the other option is to keep invested in mutual funds. Now, whichever approach you do, you need to realize what is your risk taking ability and what is your time horizon, and set realistic expectations for your returns. For example, if you are just started earning and you're looking at a very long term horizon, you can look at a balanced portfolio and start investing more in small cap, mid cap, promising shares, which will give you a higher returns in the longer term. But if you're somebody who is approaching retirement and don't want to have a very risky or very highly volatile portfolio, you can look at investing in blue chip stocks, which give you steady returns and which have slightly lesser risk. Another market is probably through ETFs, through Nifty ETFs. They're safe and they can be, you can invest in them online as well. Okay, so always keep in mind your financial goals, your time horizon, your risk taking appetite before you invest and choose whichever stocks that you want to invest in. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Mr. Aman. How to build long-term wealth and manage expenses? Sanjeev sir, if you would like to answer to this question.
Yeah, it's good to hear that individuals think of creating long-term wealth. There's a lot of awareness and sensitivity. So I'm sure by connecting through the Nishka Era platform, the Nishka Era will certainly help you once you connect to analyze your current portfolio, also help you define your financial goals, and certainly help you in deciding the right kind of investments that will smoothly take you to your goals. Now, typically, as I said during my presentation, you have to define your financial goals, identify a timeline and a value to each of the goal, and based on these factors, plus income inflow, which you expect now and in future, these are another important factors. And equally important is your risk tolerance. So a combination of all these factors will decide which instruments you should be investing in, right from bank FD to liquid funds, to real estate, to stocks, mutual funds. So a combination of various asset classes will take you to the desired destination. I hope I have answered your query, Amit.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Mr. Vishal. He wants to know about how to build career in the field of finance. Rushika ma'am, if you would like to answer to this question.
Yeah, so building a career in finance. So the first and the very basic approach would be to get a degree in finance, like do a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. You could also go in for a MBA or an advanced MBA in the field of finance if you want to go into the business side of things. Apart from that, there are various options to have a professional certification or a degree in finance, which gets a little niche, like say a chartered accountant degree or a CPA, CFA kind of a degree, or certified risk management degrees. These are all certifications which help you niche out into a one particular field in finance. If you want to build expertise in a very niche field, there are various certifications which are available. Like for example, there are stock market certifications, courses which are there online on the National Stock Exchange, on derivatives, on portfolio management, Also, NISM has various courses, certifications on insurance management, portfolio management, mutual fund management, derivatives, etc. So depending upon what you want to exactly achieve in the field of finance, you can either do a degree or take up a course online to advance your skills and learn more and move forward in that particular niche or a general field. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Miss Muskan. I'm going through a difficult phase financially. I would like to know more tricks and tips about saving money. Sanjeev sir, if you would like to answer to this question.
Sure. So my advice would be to, and first of all, let us not be discouraged or disappointed with the situation you are in. Each one of us goes through that in some point of time or other. So my advice would be to list down your income flows, whether it is salary, business income, or if you are self-employed. And at the same time, you list down your expenses divided between discretionary and non-discretionary. So under discretionary, it would typically be your food bills, house rent, your transportation, electricity bills, and so on. And non-discretionary would certainly have your online shoppings, eating out, visiting malls, and splurging with friends, and so on. So this will help you identify where exactly you can reduce and strengthen your financial position. I'm sure this will give you a direction and help you improve your finances.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Miss Nisha. She wants to know more about investment opportunities as a homemaker. Rushika ma'am, if you would like to answer this question.
Yeah, so typically I think women are very good money managers. So as a housewife, you can start with becoming a good money manager for the income of your household. Having said that, you can begin by, as I said, making a good household budget, uh, cutting down on your expenses, spending prudently, and saving and investing money in a way where you can increase the financial health of your family or household. So you can begin by, investing whatever savings that you have, depending on your short term and your long term goals. And there are various investment options that you can look at. You can actually learn a lot about diversifying your portfolio depending on your short term goals, your medium term goals, and your long term goals. Okay, so short term goals may be like, say, buying a car in 3 years, or medium term goals may be children education, and long term goals may be, say, retirement, or children's marriage, etc. So you must invest time bound as per the goals, and invest in proper avenues after knowing the risk. So as a housemaker, homemaker, you can actually look at investing your money better in the right avenues and making your entire household more financially fit. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am and sir. We also have a few questions from the chat box. But before that, we have just dropped the feedback form. So if you could just take out 2 minutes of your time and fill it up, it would be a great help for us. So the first question is from Rajesh. Mr. Rajesh is in his early 40s. What should be his asset allocation? Mr. Sanjeev sir, if you would like to answer this.
Sure. So this is the right time that you have thought of giving a direction, a concrete direction to your financial planning. And at this age, you are definitely at the peak of your career. At the same time, you have a good number of liabilities also with you in terms of home loan, car loan, maybe your children just in a shorter duration moving to colleges and higher studies, and obviously 20 years down the line planning for your retirement. So I would suggest that you draw your financial goals, list down your financial goals, have a value and timeline identified to each of these, and based on your existing portfolio, you identify the gap and then choose the correct investment avenues which will help you achieve each of the financial goals. So I'm sure since you are already part of Nisha Era now, the team will certainly help you in providing a dashboard where the assessment of existing portfolio, identification of your financial goals, and the connect between these two data points will help you reach the goals smoothly. I hope this helps.
Thank you, sir. Next question we have from Mr. Ravi. This goes to Ms. Rushika ma'am. And how to ensure 12% returns as pointed out by Ms. Sabnis in a relatively safe manner?
Okay, so when I mentioned 12% returns, it's not like a steady return of 12% year on year. Okay, it is a compounded average growth rate returns, that is compounded over a period of time. So it's possible that you may make returns of say 6% in 1 year, and maybe that may go to 20% in the other year, but the average return over a longer period of time to achieve that goal would be 12%. Now, how do you achieve that is, first of all, you must invest in asset classes which is diversified. Okay, they are so you have investments in asset classes which are low risk, low return, and investments in higher risk, higher return asset classes. So basically your portfolio is more balanced, and the returns that you get averaged out across different risk and return kind of asset classes. Now, having said that, it is important that you keep reviewing your investments at least twice a year. Okay, at least is what I'm saying, but ideally you should be reviewing your investments whenever your financial goals change. And financial goals also need to be reviewed from time to time. Okay, because your current financial status may keep changing. Like, for example, there was COVID, nobody expected that, and maybe you may lose your job, maybe there might be anything which may change your current financial status significantly. So the returns depend on how you manage your investments, how you monitor your investments, and how you change course depending upon how your financial goals and financial current status changes, right? So 12% is like an example which I have taken, but the returns will actually vary depending on how you invest, what is your risk taking ability, what are the financial goals that you want to achieve, and of course your time horizon that you are going to be invested in, right? So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question is from Deepti. In one of the talks, it was mentioned that the house in which we stay is not considered as an investment. Can you please elaborate on the reason, as the cost of the house would run into crores? Rushika ma'am?
Yeah. So, Deepti, to answer your question, typically when you say asset, it typically means that it is an avenue which puts money into your pocket. Okay, that's an asset. Now, when you say that you're staying in that house, you are actually incurring expenses. That is, you are paying taxes, you are having maintenance, utility bills. So you are not really monetizing on your house as a real estate. Okay, unless you look to sell it at a particular point of time in the future. But currently, if you see, it doesn't fit into, a money making avenue for you. It doesn't give you money in your pocket. In fact, you're paying money out of your pocket to maintain it. So that's the reason I said that do not consider house that you are staying in as as a current asset that you're having, unless you're looking to sell it off or rent it and get income out of it. So yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Mr. Sangameshwar. What would be your investment advice where a necessity of capital investment is required, maybe every 3 to 5 years? Further, what amount you suggest for insurance? Mr. Sanjeev, sir.
Ananya, I would request if you can repeat the first part of the question.
Sure. So the question is, what would be your investment advice where a necessity of capital investment is required, maybe every 3 to 5 years?
What I'm understanding is he wants to invest some amount every 3 to 5 years. Am I right?
Mr. Sangameshwar, can you just type in if we understood the question correctly? Yes, he's saying that's the question.
Okay, so before deciding an amount which he feels like investing every 3 to 5 years, I would suggest that we should define the goal first, identify the goal first, and based on the time horizon, the risk tolerance, his current age, and the money inflow which he receives. So it has to be the other way around, the 3-4 data points which I just shared. So once we are clear on where we want to reach and in how many years, that will help us decide how much we should invest and naturally in which asset class. And a second part of his query was the insurance. So it again depends what are his current liabilities. And in insurance term, if we talk of, typically there is a human life value which they talk of. So assuming the person, the policy holder is no more there after his demise, so what kind of financial support he is looking at, which should support his dependents. To give you an example, if a person is earning say 25 lakhs a year currently and at the age of 40, so till the time he is financially productive, means the next 20 years. So ideally 25 lakhs into the next 20 years, this should be the coverage which one should have. And another way to look at it is to also add the liabilities in terms of home loans and other liabilities which are existing. And one more important point I would like to add here is, for example, a person is willing to go ahead for an insurance cover of 2 crores. So it is advisable to take 2 crore covers of 1 crore each, so that in future, when the liabilities are gradually reducing, he can maybe stop paying premium for one of the cover and the other can continue. Otherwise, what will happen if there is a single cover of 2 crores, all along the premium for 2 crores has to be paid. Either this has to be continued or it has to be entirely stopped. So this would be my advice. I'm sure this will answer his query.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question, Aman Vijay. How to keep emergency fund, like in what avenues, like bank account, FD, etc. Ms. Rishika, ma'am, if you could answer this.
Yeah. So, see, an emergency fund is typically something, the money that you need in the short term. Okay. So there are various ways that the safest would be in saving deposit, but there are other more lucrative options where you can keep that money. First is that you can look to invest in some of the liquid short-term debt funds. Now, the advantage of that is that they are safer and they give you good returns as compared to just keeping money in a saving bank account. Now, there are certain factors that you consider before choosing a fund. Now, you can invest money right from 15 days to 3 months in these funds. But the factors that you need to consider is look at the credit rating, look at how the fund is doing, look at the track record, and of course look at how much is the minimum investment, what is the lock-in period, and those kind of factors. The other option that you can do is that you can keep the money in short-term saving schemes of the post office. Now again, these are safe and they give you slightly higher returns as compared to banks. And if you're looking at a little more horizon, let's say for 3 years, okay, with a lock-in, you can look at something like ELSS, which gives you higher returns and they invest in equity. So depending on your, time horizon and how much money you want to keep, you can decide which option you want to go with.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is from Arav and Vedanta. They want to invest in stock market. So please suggest the best long-term stocks. Mr. Sanjeev, sir, if you could take up.
I would request Rushika ma'am, who happens to be an expert in stock market, to take this, please.
Okay, yeah. So see, investing in stock market, actually, see, you need to understand that whenever you invest in stock market and you, as you say, you're having a long-term view, I would suggest not having a buy and forget kind of an attitude ever. You must always review your investments from time to time. Look at the stocks that you're invested in, and always look at booking profits. Okay, it doesn't matter that one of the stocks just shoots up. Now, having said that, the best stocks to invest, I mean, would be obviously blue chip companies. Look at the Nifty stocks. Another option is, look at investing in a Nifty ETF. In that way, you are, and it's very easy to invest in a Nifty ETF. All the leading brokers allow you to do that on their online platform, and the fees that they charge for, the fund managing is extremely less. So in that way, you'll get an exposure to all the stocks in the Nifty and get a good returns. But if you are looking to actively manage it and look at, so sectors move in cyclical manners, right? So you need to either have knowledge to know which sector, which stocks to invest, what price to invest in, and most importantly, when to exit a particular stock, right? So, I mean, that will obviously depend on your risk-taking ability and the kind of horizon that you're looking at. Yeah.
Thanks, Rushika.
Thank you, ma'am. That was really helpful. So the next question is from Amay. How to choose best asset from asset calling? Mr. Sanjeev, sir?
Choose the best asset from?
How to choose best asset from assets column?
Assets column. So what I'm understanding is he wants to understand which is the best asset class to choose from, correct?
Mr. Amay, can you please type in? Yeah, that's what he means.
Okay. Thank you, Amay. So as we have been discussing, there is no single asset class where all our money should flow. It has to be diversified. There is no correlation between different asset classes. They'll neither move in the same direction, nor will they move with the same speed. So if you are thinking of investing in stocks, you cannot put all your money there. It is highly volatile. You have to ensure that your short-term financial needs are in non-equity asset class, be it mutual fund or a bank FD, or for instance, for emergency fund, you have options like auto sweep in savings accounts in most of the banks these days. So never put all your money in a single asset class. It has to be diversified portfolio. I think once you share more details with our platform Nishkaira, we can certainly help you decide, build a portfolio which will take you to your financial goals at the right time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We have one more question from Dhairav Desai. How to decide amount of investment in particular asset class? So will you please answer this?
So this is again in continuation to the previous question. So deciding the amount which goes into a particular asset class will again depend on the life stage in which we are in, and how far is the asset goal from the current time. For example, if one starts investing at the age of 30 for a financial goal which is say 10 years away, so by the time 8 years are over, that particular goal is no more long term. Initially, we decided on the instrument keeping long-term timeline in view. But when only 2 years are left to reach the goal, that goal becomes a short-term goal. So there our effort has to be to gradually shift it to a non-equity asset class. So this will be an ongoing process. It is as Rushika ma'am just now shared, it is not fill it and forget it kind of a process. All along our financial journey, the goals have to be reviewed, the portfolio has to be reviewed, and this will decide how much we should be putting in each of the asset class. Right? Thank you.
We also have one more question from Sarada. How to assess penny stock performance? Ms. Rushika ma'am.
To be honest, I think you should, at any point of time, you should not have more than 1 or 2% of your portfolio in penny stocks. The reason is that they are penny stocks for a reason. Okay, they have low value because of some reason. Either they are new businesses or they are businesses which have not really done well, and that's why the stock price has tanked. Now, if you want to put in money, I think you must choose stocks which either have a higher growth potential and which are really right now in the nascent stage, and not really look for companies which were trading at a really high price and now which have become penny stocks because of their performance, debt issues, or whatever it is. And whenever you are investing in such kind of penny stocks, please understand that you may lose your capital when you're investing in it. So don't have very high expectations out of investing in them, and understand that you need to keep a very low amount of your portfolio in this, so that even if they don't do well, your portfolio doesn't suffer in the long run. So choose wisely and allocate only that much of your funds to these stocks which you can afford to lose. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I would ask Bhumika to take over now.
Thank you, ma'am and sir, for such an amazing session. Thank you, participants, for your amazing questions as well. I hope we have been able to answer most of your questions. We look forward to more of these sessions and will incorporate your tips into our daily lives. If you have any other questions you want to ask the speakers, you can reach out to our Nishkaira team or ping us on any of the social media platforms. Now, I would like to invite our co-founder, Mr. Saurabh Garg, to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone, especially to our guests, Ms. Rushika and Mr. Sanjeev ji, along with all the participants who have joined on our who are joining this webinar. through the various mediums. And this is such an honor for me to get an opportunity to thank all of you dignitaries who have joined us. And on behalf of Nishka Era, I extend a warm welcome to the people in the gathering. I would like to express my gratitude to all the esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and contribution to make this webinar a grand success. I must thank the organizing team, volunteers, uh, other people who are working hard for to make this webinar a success, especially Miss Ananya and Miss Bhumika. Thank you everyone once again for making it is a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh sir. We hope after this session you have understood the financial planning and goals. Please answer the feedback form sent in the chat box. This will be of great help to us. Thank you all for joining our session. We hope to see you soon again with yet another webinar in our financial drive. Signing off until next time, Team Nishkaira, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you everyone, and